Good evening and welcome to tonight's Monday night panel. I hope everybody who went up to Rotherham on Saturday has recovered. What a game and what an ending. And I hope nobody was affected by the train, because I think if we'd gone to 90 minutes, I think some of the people might have actually been on one of the trains that may have well been the one that was attacked. So I hope everybody got home safely. I'm going to bring Vic on.
Hi, Chris.
Hi, how are you?
I'm all right. Thanks for yeah. And you might have noticed in the front of the program there, Steve Finney and Kevin Horlock, the late great Steve Finney. It was his birthday over the course of the weekend, and it was Kevin Horlock's as well. So we will remember with great fondness Finney walking in a Finney wonderland, of course, and Kevin Horlock. What a player! What a great guest he was when we had him on this some time ago. So we remember them and say happy birthday to Kevin for, I think it was yesterday. I'm not sure. Anyway, there we are. That's why they're there. So lovely to have them. Also, I should say, of course, Saturday is Remembrance Day at the County Ground. We're coming up to Armistice Day on the 11th of the 11th. We're at Milton Keynes that night in the Virtue Motors Trophy. But what I would ask, if you could possibly get to your seats a little bit earlier than you normally do, because there are some events sort of lined up from 2:45 onwards in terms of buglers and military people, all that kind of thing. And we're hoping it's going to be a really special occasion. So if you could be there from at least 22, if you can make it, that would be really appreciated.
Excellent. We have got a special guest coming on, so I'm going to bring him on now, and then we'll do our bits and pieces later, Vic, okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
So we have Mr. Ripley. Good evening, Connor.
Hi, guys. You okay?
Yeah, you okay?
I'm very good, thank you. Very good.
Good.
Jolly good.
Who do you want then?
Oh, I don't know, to be honest. I mean, there's a part of me that wants Port Vale, and then there's a part of me that wants the lowest rank to get us through to round 3. So, I mean, to be honest, I'm happy with anyone. I mean, the FA Cup's amazing, isn't it? So it just shows the talent that we've got in England in the lower divisions as well. So I'm looking forward to it.
Well, we've got a weather eye on the draw, obviously. I mean, let's talk about Saturday. It was an amazing afternoon. Didn't start off greatly, did it? Take us through those first few minutes.
No, it was. We just didn't start very well. I mean, he got through the defence a bit too easy, and to be honest, it kind of went through me a little bit too easy as well. I wasn't very chuffed with my part in the goal, but then things happen as a goalkeeper. You just got to get on with it, brush yourself off, and move forward. But you know, I think that the whole game, it was such a good game. You know, like good football, especially from Swindon. You know, the boys were fantastic. They put a right good shift in. I'm pretty sure Glatt's done about 16K. You know, that's insane. You know. So yeah, I mean, I thought the boys were fantastic. I thought we done really well, especially against the team above us in a higher league. So I think it was kind of a bit of a benchmark really to see if we're capable of playing at a higher level. And I think we showed that really. I think we did, and you know that's our aim for this season, to get into League One.
Sam Nombe, when he disappeared off the scene, I think you're probably quite relieved not to see him anymore, because we were a bit. Where's Sam Nombe? And he disappeared. And I mean, what a pace he's got.
Yeah, he's a quick lad, isn't he? He's sharp. I mean, you know what? They've got some really good players. You know, I know a couple of them, and I know a few of them that are injured. I think they had like 13 injuries. So that's like, of course, it was great for us. It's not great for them, but great for us. I know Jordan Hugill. I know Joe Rafferty. I know the goalkeeper. You know, they've got some, and I know. Blooming hell, I know him. I forgot his name now. Dan Gore. I know Dan Gore. And so, you know, they got some real good quality in that team. So, you know, to kind of play the way we did, it felt like we've got out of that little rut. We're in a bit of a rut, weren't we? And I think it shows that we've got out of it. We've got into our mojo again, and we'll just move forward.
Tell us about the concentration needed for 140 minutes nowadays, isn't it? But tell us about the concentration you need, because obviously you're kind of geared for 90 minutes, aren't you?
Yeah.
And then, of course, there's the extra time. There's the possibility of penalties, but that sort of little tap in from Darren Oldacre prevented that, didn't it? It's a wonderful, wonderful goal. Tell us about the concentration as a keeper you need.
I mean, I think your conditioning that's where your conditioning comes in play. You're concentrating for the full game. And then even the manager said before the game started, he said, listen, guys, this, it could go to extra time, so be ready for it. And, it's one of those ones where we would like to have done it within the 90 minutes, save our legs a little bit. And when Drins got sent off, that didn't help us. But it's one of those ones where as a goalkeeper, it's more mentally tiring than it is physically. So, as a goalkeeper, you're not really running around, you're not really doing much, but it's really about concentration. There was a couple times where the ball might have slipped under my foot, or I think a ball bounced and I kind of run past it, and I was just like, what am I doing? It is really about concentration. But like I say, it was a great game to be involved in. It was to watch us play the way we did, the way we passed the ball, the way we found pockets, and I thought the way we defended apart from their goal, I thought we defended really well. And then of course you've got the strikers and the midfielders who just bossed it about with the ball, and it was great to watch, to be honest.
Yeah, tell us about Ollie Palmer's miraculous recovery from cramp when the goal went in, because that was an extraordinary moment. And I think he had a bit of a mickey taken out of him by the bench. We were watching on the opposite side of the ground, obviously.
Yeah.
And when he went off, they were sort of walking in that sort of way. But when Oldacre's goal went in, all of a sudden, miraculously, he was walking back on the pitch. It was a great moment, wasn't it?
Yeah, listen, I mean, you'll have to talk to him about that. I don't know him, but I mean, like I said, they all put a shift in. They all put a lot of effort in. So when you're running over 12, 13, 14 kilometers in a game, and it's not just like a break, it's a continuous running. And it's high intensity as well, so it's really difficult for the outfield players. So I can forgive him if he got a bit of cramp. I can forgive him for that. But when the goal went in, I think the adrenaline just spiked, and we all just started running and started acting a little bit crazy. Even I ran up because I thought I thought Darren's I thought his goal was it's exceptional. I thought the way he took it, he Cruyffed 3 players and then shot with his weaker foot into the bottom corner. He's got that ability in him, and it's great to have on your team.
Yeah, Felipe Medvetti also kind of made an entrance to the pitch as well, didn't he, to celebrate? I mean, it's one of those great all-together moments. The fans were together, you were together, and I think the boss said a couple of weeks ago where he felt we weren't all together after, was it the Notts County or the Walsall game? Can't quite remember. But certainly on Saturday, that was fans, squad, backroom staff, everybody together.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think it was the Colchester game where I think we got booed.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, as a player, as the players, we came in and we were thinking, it wasn't the greatest game to watch, but we're joint top of the league and we're getting booed. And from my point of view, it was a bit, we got a bit took back by it. And the manager clearly didn't like it, and he voiced his opinion. But we're proud of what we've done. We're proud of what we've done. And if you go back last season, you guys we were rock bottom of the league, and now we're joint top of the league. The turnaround is fantastic, and I get the frustration sometimes where the games aren't particularly great to watch, especially when you play against Colchester, who literally just try and cancel you out. And and they're not really, they don't help the game flow and all that. But that's what it felt like at the beginning of the season when we were winning games, and when we came running over and celebrated with you guys, it felt great. It felt like a home game in a sense, where we were the ones. Sorry, you were the ones who were making the noise and cheering us on and giving us a song. So it does make a huge difference having that support from the fans, and I know we'll always have the support from the fans, and you're well entitled to give us a boo here and there, but if we stick together the way we did, like we did at Rotherham, it does make a huge difference.
Well, those of us who were at Colchester last season on that freezing cold 4-0 defeat, we've been the other side of it.
I completely understand. Trust me, I understand. Even the manager doesn't even like saying Colchester because of after that game. So we understand that, but we are where we are. We're joint top of the league, and it's a great feeling. And the boys are proud, and I hope the fans are proud of where we're at right now.
Well, of course we are. Does this justify the decision you made in the summer to stay? Because I with family connections up north, it's a difficult thing to do, clearly. But are you pleased that you've made that decision?
I'm over the moon. Yeah, I mean, I had quite a few options to stay up north, and I chose Swindon. I chose Swindon because the way the club received me, the way the fans welcomed me into the club. I felt it was a great fit for me. The way they play, and especially one of the big parts was the manager. The manager was a big part of it. I get along with him really well. He's a very good manager. He knows his man management is second to none. So, it was one of them ones where you got to sit down with my partner who's up north with the children, and I'm having to tell her, listen, I'm going back down south. So, but she took it well, and she was to be honest, she kind of pushed me down there, so I'm kind of a bit worried why she pushed me down there.
It's difficult though, isn't it, with your family? I mean, you want to be with your family as much as possible, clearly, and I don't know how many days you spend away from them, but obviously, it's a difficult thing to do. Now, last season we played Accrington in the league, and then 2 weeks later we went up to Accrington in the FA Cup. So what we don't want to do is get Fleetwood away, because obviously we got them coming up as well.
Yeah.
So is a home draw preferable or an away draw? How do you view it?
You always want a home draw. You always want that home advantage. Especially when I think there was over 1,000 fans at Rotherham, and so if you times that by 6, 7, or 8, it makes a big difference. So you always want a home draw, and to be honest, it's a bit like a fortress at Swindon right now. So it's great to play there, and I don't think many teams actually really want to be there. So we might as well use all that advantage, and hopefully for me personally, I want a bit of a lower team, an easier fixture, because you want to get to the third round. You want to get there with the big dogs, and you want to get a Liverpool away or Tottenham away. One of them big games. So, to be honest, I'm sure whoever comes to Swindon is going to have a rough time. So let's just see who we pick.
Yeah, ball number 27 is the one we're looking for. And as always in these cases, they're dragging this out like nobody's business. And we just wanted to get on with it. There's not a football fan in the country who thinks, I'd much rather look at a picture of the ground they're showing now. Just do the draw and we can find out who we're playing. What's your experience in the FA Cup?
I've had some good days. I've had plenty of bad days in there. It's such a good cup. It's such an amazing cup. I think it's one of the best in the world, to be honest, because you've got, the lower leagues, and then you get to play against the higher divisions and improve yourself. So that's always, as a player, it's great exposure. But you know, I've had some great games. I've had a couple on TV, and it's great. I do really enjoy playing in the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup. To be honest, it was a shame that we got knocked out of that, but you know, FA Cups, we're still in it, and let's see what happens, really.
Yeah, obviously the Premier League teams don't put I mean, every Swindon fan will remember when we played Man City post-COVID, and it was a wonderful, wonderful night. You know, big crowd, great atmosphere, Harry McCurdy's goal, and it just seemed to be the right time at the right time. And to be fair to Man City, they played respect to Swindon, which is what you want, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. You know, you play against the big teams. You want to play against the best players, and so hopefully, you know, it's easy for teams like Man City, Arsenal, like the big teams, to just put out their second string or the reserves, because they've got that much depth in their team, where, you know, they think, oh well, we'll play against Swindon League Two, but you know, if they watched us the way we played against Rotherham, I think they've got to give us a little bit of respect. And you know, you want to play against the big players. You know, you don't want to. I'd love to play against Man City and have Donnarumma's shirt after it. That would be fantastic. But
Well, yeah, well, you haven't got Slough Town or Macclesfield because they've drawn out. Grimsby have just been drawn out at home, so
Nice.
we'll see. It's Wealdstone they've got, so the draw is ongoing. So hopefully with a bit of.
I'm going to bring the rest of the panel on, Vic,
Yeah,
so we can all
okay.
watch it together. Okay.
Yeah, okie
You
dokie.
carry on chatting, and I'll bring them on one by one.
Well, Sutton United are at home against Shrewsbury, or Shrewsbury, whichever way you want to pronounce it. So we're still waiting. Let's hope it's not too long, because obviously we want to. Oh, we're at home. We've got a home draw in the next round of the FA Cup. So Connor's got his wish, and we are going to play Bolton Wanderers. So how about that, Connor?
Here we go. There we go. That'll be a tough game. It'll be a tough game. But you know, it's a game that, again, we get to prove ourselves that we should be at that higher level. So let's see what happens.
Well, let's go around the panel if you don't mind. If just stay with us a little bit longer, Connor, if that's okay with you. Rob, what's your reaction to that?
You know what immediately comes to mind, Vic, don't you?
Oh, I do. The League Cup ties.
3 replays, 120th minute winner in the extra time.
Yes,
the longest League Cup tie ever that's ever been played. Unfortunately, we won't go down that route once again. But I think that's a very good tie. Actually, that might find its way onto the TV schedules. I think that's a real opportunity for us and a really big game for the TV cameras. So Bolton will bring a few. They're always a well-supported club. So it's a long distance for them to travel, I know, but it reminds me, we played Huddersfield a few years ago, and they were top of League One, weren't they?
Yeah,
and that was a storming game. We won 4-0 in the FA Cup. So
it was brilliant.
Let's see if we can take that form from Saturday into that one. It's a good draw, like that.
Yeah, Gus, I should explain, Connor, is our American representative. Now, he started following Swindon for a random reason a year ago. So his FA Cup memories are now just confined so far to Rotherham United.
Good start.
So a home draw, Gus. What's your view on that?
Well, everybody else seems happy. I'm assuming Rotherham is a League One team.
Bolton.
I'm sorry, Bolton. Bolton is a League One team.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, we did it before. Let's do it again. Obviously, these guys are going to know that we can beat League One teams now. So they're maybe aren't going to be taking their Tombe out so early and, you know, kind of taking us for granted, like I think maybe Rotherham did.
Well, we're not going to Accrington Stanley. They're at home in the FA Cup in the next round. They got a win yesterday against Gainsborough Trinity, and they're playing Mansfield. Phil, your reaction to that draw?
Highly attractive draw, and the bigger they are, the harder they fall. So Connor will have a blinder, and they'll get frustrated. And we've got the other end, and Drennan will get his revenge for getting sent off and get us the winner because he owes it to us.
Anna.
Yeah, you want a home tie, don't you? Definitely want a home tie. We've got plenty of long trips up north, so pretty happy with that. Tough game, but not one we should fear those opponents. I think we can, let's get it over the line.
Chris, you'll have to organise some flag wavers for a home FA Cup tie, but I don't suppose you'll be that bothered, will you?
No, it'd be a pleasure. People were saying we want to go to Weston-super-Mare. No, I want to be at home.
Clearly,
I
for
think
those of us who,
Gateshead was mentioned as well.
yeah, clearly though, for those of us who live in Devon, Weston-super-Mare would be quite a good option, to be fair, but not to be. Connor, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Just once again, you must be very pleased with that. But before we get to the FA Cup and Bolton at home, the little matter of Tranmere Rovers on Saturday. So you've got to refocus now on the very important league games to come.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I mean, about the FA Cup, I live in Bolton, so that'll be a fun one.
Oh.
So if we beat them, I can't show my face for a while, so that'll be fun. But no, yeah, like you say, we've got Tranmere this Saturday. I'm really looking forward to it, to be honest, especially after that performance we done at Rotherham. I think we can build on something like that. And it's going to be a tough game. You know, I've played Tranmere. I know a lot of the players there, and they got some good quality. I know the manager, Andy Crosby, who's a very good manager. So it's one of those ones where, you know, we've got to be on our game. We can't start slow like we have done it on the odd occasion. We've got to be at it. And like you say, we need to stay at the top of that league. So we get a win and Walsall drop points, and then all of a sudden we are outright league leaders. So, you know, I'm really looking forward to it. It's a bit of pressure, but it's good pressure. It's good pressure that we've got, and we should be excited for the games in the league to come, really.
Absolutely. I think every Swindon fan's excited about the thought of finally doing something in this league because we've been there too long. Daz says every success, Connor, for the rest of the season. Rich says, go on, Connor. Decent number one. So glad you're here, says Kevin. So there's good remarks coming in for you. We wish you well. Have a good rest of the evening. Have a good weekend. Hopefully 3 points on Saturday. That'll do us nicely.
Yep, definitely. Thanks for having me, guys.
All the best, Connor. Thank you very much. You may go now. Thank you.
See you later, guys.
See you later. Now. Well, there we go. Instant reaction, Connor Ripley. Bolton at home. I think it's the weekend of December the 6th. Is that right? I think I'm right in saying that. So
weekend of December,
yeah. So we'll wait to see, of course, when it will be. It could be changed for FA Cup, for television. It's a good chance, Rob, isn't it? I'd say that's an attractive tie. So, you know, why not?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably of all the clubs that you looked at in the draw beforehand, they were probably one of the least likely ones to pull out. We're always expecting to play someone from our division. Everyone's talking about playing a non-league side. Probably nobody mentioned Bolton, but 7th in League One. They're clearly in half-decent form. They won't be any pushovers by any stretch of the imagination, which in round 2, to be fair, you wouldn't expect, but you would certainly want your players to be right on their game, and they can afford to be nothing else. Connor's just summed it up pretty perfectly, really. If you go into a game like that and you're not 100% at it from minute 1, they will turn you over because they're a decent side. So they can't afford to rest on their laurels at any stage in that game, and it might be just what we need, to be honest. I think it should get a good crowd at the County Ground, you would hope, because the draw of a potentially really big fish in round 3 gives you that opportunity. And obviously, it's the start. If it's start of December, is a whole month of really attractive fixtures for us, isn't there? A couple of local derbies in there. Milton Keynes is in there as well on Boxing Day. So it could be a really, really interesting footballing month. And for that to start us off, if we can get the right result, will be absolutely fabulous.
Of course, Bolton are always tied with that 1953 FA Cup final, the Matthews final, when Blackpool beat Bolton 4-3. It goes back a long, long way, but they're always tied in that. And as Rob was saying, those incredible League Cup ties a few years ago, which seemed to go on forever and ever. Gus, I know your FA Cup experience is limited, but you know, are you excited by that in December, that game?
Absolutely. I mean, you know, I could only listen in the US, or I guess everybody was listening unless you're at the game, but you know, so I didn't get to really see what transpired. I only heard it, although the announcers were excellent. I really could kind of get a good feel of it. And I felt like Coach Holloway outcoached their coach hands down. I feel like the substitutes were good. I know they had a lot of injured players. And if I were the Bolton team, I'd be worried in the sense that, they're probably thinking, oh, we don't want to play all our best players. Let's just win this game. And because we've got our other considerations, in their league, they're going to have to throw. If I were their coach, I think, boy, I really going to have to put some good players in here or we're going to get beat. They've got a lot to think about, I think, playing us. That's my gut feeling.
Phil, I think Bolton are always known as a bit of a footballing team, so that'll suit, won't it?
Yes, and just aside, and looking down at the draw, it certainly is the most attractive of the league versus league matches that seems to be around. So, and they usually do at least one league versus league match on the TV live. So we may go for it. But Bolton, they've got a long history, even with their ups and downs. They've always been quite strong physically and attractive football, and their fans demand that they go for goal. And they've had disappointments in recent years as well, and they're beatable.
Absolutely, Anna. I mean, any team is beatable at the minute with Swindon, but equally, of course, we know there's the other side of the Swindon coin. As Connor was hinting there, that will have done, if that was a blip, that would have done them a lot of good after their little blip, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, isn't it, that that one swallow is not making your summer. But you've got to feel really proud and happy that we got through that game and performed so well in the second half and an extra time. And yet, Saturday, you're only as good as your last game. I know it's a trite thing to say, but that is the reality. We need to move on from that game quite quickly and focus back on the league. We've got a good draw in that cup, but the league is of paramount importance, and people want to move out of League Two, so we've got to take everything seriously. We've got to take every opponent seriously, and we've got to think about particularly the way we start games. So Connor Ripley referred to that first goal on Saturday. Almost like we kind of hadn't woken up, and it was a bit of a continuation of that West Ham under-21 game where they just caught us on the break. They just ran past us, really. And I think that's why Holloway put Knight Labelle on in the second half, wasn't it, to give us a bit of pace at the back. And he said we've got to think about how we set up so that we're not caught by leaving those pockets in. If we start slowly like that against another side, and as we have done in other games, we find ourselves 2-0 down, or worse, then you don't come back from that. So we've really got to steel ourselves for those first 20-25 minutes, get ourselves into the game, and I think then the confidence comes back. And that's what happened Saturday, but it took a little while. It took that clean sheet in the first half, and then outplaying them in that second. So they should have confidence from that, but they've got to take it into the next match with the right attitude and the right frame of mind.
Yeah. Right. Talking of Knight Labelle, this is from Chris. Hi, Chris. He sent me a message this morning. I wondered whether you are inviting comments on your Monday night show. Yes, we are. You could mention my point. That is that I do not think from all the comments I've seen about man of the match on Saturday, enough was made of Knight Labelle. Second half performance was flawless, and he should have been considered, in my humble opinion. I think that's a fair point, isn't it, Rob? Because, Clark was magnificent. Glatzel was magnificent. Olday could change the game when he came on. But Knight Labelle, that's his best 45 plus 30 minutes for Swindon, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, probably. I think you need to temper the enthusiasm when you look at the defenders for the fact that most of our play in the second half and in the extra time was going in the attacking third, wasn't it? But you can't lose sight of the fact that the defenders had to keep themselves into a really good space, and Knight Labelle cured the ills of the first half, if that makes sense. There was a lot of Sam Nombe pretty much ran the game first half, didn't he, as their central striker, and he was running it right. He was running it Clark, and neither of them really could at any stage could keep up with him, and it needed that extra bit of security that Knight Labelle came on and put in. He's had a poor couple of games at home, I have to say. I'm not gonna criticize him too much because that's not fair. But the reality was he didn't seem like he was at the same speed as everyone else. He was looking backwards when a lot of the team were looking forwards, and he needed to cure that. And he's obviously got on the training pitch and done just that. He played extremely well in the second half and in the extra time, and hopefully he can now take that into some more top draw performances. Because last year at this level for Crewe, he was one of the star defenders. So he's clearly got the ability to be able to do that. Not really shown it until Saturday in the Swindon shirt. So hopefully now he will really kick on.
Yeah, I know a Crewe fan quite well who lives down here, and he was fulsome in his praise for Knight the Bell. So after Saturday, hopefully, as you said, he'll kick on. Let's go through Saturday then. I know you wanted to move on, Anna, but we ought to digest it really. Rotherham United 1, Swindon Town 2 after extra time. Sam Nombe on 5 minutes. It was interesting to get the take of Connor Ripley on that goal, and he was honest enough to say that he wasn't terribly pleased with his part in it. Swindon's equaliser from Ollie Palmer on 72 minutes. Darren Oldacre with an absolute screamer on 116 minutes. There was an assist from Aaron Drinan on 72 minutes, Rob, clearly. The referee was Martin Woods. The assistant was Matthew Parry, I should say, not Perry. Assistant 2, Zahir Mustafa, and the fourth official was James Chewson. The red card was Drinan on 90 plus 7 minutes. Swindon employed a 3-4-3, which was Ripley in goal, of course. Wright, Kirkman, and Wilson Brown across the back. Oldacre on 46 minutes. Knight the Bell on for Wilson Brown on 46. Snowden, Clark, Kilkenny, and Nichols in midfield. Bowden on for Snowden on 79. Murphy on for Kilkenny on 104. And Etcher-Bitumen on for Nichols on 71. And then Drinan, Glatzel, and Palmer in the front three, with McGregor coming on for the cramp-ridden Ollie Palmer on 115 minutes. That's how they lined up. Gus, listening, what could you gauge from Saturday?
Well, one thing that you could hear on the radio or whatever the feed that I was listening to, the Swindon fans were very prominent. You know, it was quite obvious that there were a lot of Swindon fans there, which I'm sure was fabulous if you were one of them to be there. It was kind of a tale of two halves, really, wasn't it? I mean, the first half we didn't play very well. The second half, I don't know what Coach Holloway did in the locker room, but obviously he also put in a lot more offensive players and pushed forward a lot more, which is a massive risk, but it paid off. I think if I'm not mistaken, when Drinan went out, he didn't pull one of the offensive players. We went down a defensive player, and he just kept pushing forward. And the last thing that I'd say, I did watch the highlights afterward. Oldacre is just a sneaky. He's not very fast, but he is a sneaky player. Other players would pass sooner than he does. He really holds the ball. He really has control. Nichols is a lot that way too. They really hold the ball. They control the ball. They don't pass when you think they're going to. They pass when you don't think they're going to. And then obviously his shot was just, he had 3 guys right on him, and he just got the shot off. Just amazing. So, I always gauge how the good the game was by how many times I startle my dog by screaming out loud. And we had 18 shots, 11 on target.
Yeah, incredible.
So I'm getting excited. The announcers are getting excited. And then, when we miss them, but when we make them, obviously there's even better yelling. So that was a little long, but those were my thoughts.
Well, you mentioned the shots. Rotherham had 10, Swindon 18. On target, Rotherham 3, Swindon 11, which is extraordinary. Rotherham had 4 corners, Swindon had 9. And offsides. There are actually not so many offsides these days, it seems to me. Rotherham 2 and Swindon 3. Possession, Rotherham with 51%, Swindon 49%. Possession, anyway, make your own mind up with that. Phil, what was your view of it? I mean, I think Gus was absolutely spot on. First 45 minutes, we weren't really very good because Sam Nombe, well, it was like Christmas for him, wasn't it? It was just everywhere.
Yes. One of the things which surprises me with Swindon, with a manager like Holloway, the number of times we are slow starters, because I would think he's geeing them up in the, as Gus says, the locker room before they come out. But they just seem to just let the opposition settle, and they let Rotherham settle too well. 5 players I counted failed to get a tackle in on Nombi, which is unforgivable. That you've got to get somebody in. And if I've got a criticism of the Town performance, there are times when we do not win 50-50 balls. We don't win 60-40 balls sometimes. And we're missing Offerball or somebody like that to really stick it around. But the game on Saturday, you can't fault them. The character they show in recovering from going a goal down so early on and slowly pushing Rotherham back. I don't care what Rotherham say about their makeup of their team. That's the team they chose to put out. We've got injuries as well. We got players missing. And they showed they are a good footballing side, Rotherham. But we got on top of them. Our midfield became to dominate. And I thought Palmer worked that line superbly. And I must confess, I did put him down as my man of the match. If I'd realised Glatzer had run so far, I probably would have gone for him. But I just felt that Palmer, as the game went on, got more and more dominant over their defenders and was enabling us to create chances. So I thought it was a well-worked game once we got over our poor start.
Actually, his pace for that second goal, I've watched it several times, actually.
Yeah.
And he did all right. I mean, you wouldn't put him down as the quickest player on the pitch, but he really moved. Just before I get to Joanna, I've got some SAS news, which has just come in. They've still got seats for MK in the Virtue Motors Trophy. Why is that then? Fleetwood is sold out and Chesterfield go on sale tomorrow. I believe the tickets go on sale tomorrow, Chesterfield, although they may even be on. But they go on sale tomorrow. So do SAS coach spaces. And if you're going to Chesterfield, depart West Swindon at 9 a.m. The Nigel Eady County Ground at 9:30. Members are £27. Non-members are £29. Thank you very much indeed to Laura for that information. And also the memorabilia sale, which was due to take place on the 7th of December. It still is, but obviously with the TV possibilities, we'll have to see that. But it's due to take place on the 7th of December in the Legends Lounge. Any donations of programmes, books, etc. welcome. If anyone wants a table, £10, and they are popular. So if you are looking to go to that, then please let us know. Ray's in charge. Colin says, surprised that Rotherham kept Jordan Hugel back at centre half the whole period of extra time. Were they defensively depleted? What was nice about this, Anna Wad, we had several candidates for man of the match. I chose Clark in the end. It could have been Glatzel, could have been Oldacre, could have been anyone. I mean, who was your man of the match?
Yeah, mine was Clark as well, actually. But you're right. There have been some games where you think it's hard to pick a man of the match for different reasons. I think we experienced that perhaps on the way back from Accrington recently. But Saturday was the other side of the coin, mainly because of the second half and the injury and the extra time performances. Obviously, because in the first 45 minutes, I thought Palmer was poor. We were leaving spaces all over the park. We were second to the 50-50s. We were second to the second ball and the third ball. Really, we weren't closing them down. And then those changes, the personnel changes that Holloway made after that first half, I think, really set the theme for that comeback from us. So, but Clark, the thing I wanted to pull out about Clark was, he played 90+ minutes on Tuesday. This is again in the Virtue Motors, and this is someone who historically, I know Holloway has said, I'm pretty sure Holloway said last week, he can't play 2 games in a week because he's getting on a bit. He's going to struggle, otherwise you're going to risk him. He played the full game on Tuesday. He played the full game on Saturday. And I thought he was outstanding in terms of that coverage. I don't know how many kilometres he ran, but he was there when you needed him to be. But it was a close call. It could have been Glatzel. That lad put such a shift in, especially you move him back to left wing back when you've got a bit of maybe a bit of extra pace. The tackles he puts in, and he's still getting shots off as well at that point when he's coming forward. Oldacre's a strange player. I know he's a bit. I think I get the feeling he's a bit Marmite. I've heard a lot of fans giving him a bit of a slagging, which I think is very unfair. He wants time on the ball, but he creates that time on the ball for himself. He doesn't rush, but he doesn't feel under pressure to pass the ball too soon. He changed the game on Saturday.
Yeah.
He wasn't my man of the match, but he
No.
could have been, because he was the game changer, not just because he scored the goal, but because of the role he played behind that front 2 or 3 or whatever it was at that point. So, you know, it could have been any number of players. The only one I thought perhaps was a bit quiet, although obviously didn't play extra time, was Drennan. I thought he was, again, put a shift in, a little bit quieter. But yeah, could have been any one of those players, but that's the consistency that we need to take into subsequent fixtures, isn't it? If everyone plays well, you're going to win the games.
Yeah, I must admit, I changed my mind about 6 times walking back to the bus. I got to be honest. It was that sort of decision. Hello. Hi, Sean. Evening all. Shocking. One fans got thrown out when celebrating a goal by overzealous stewards. No trouble calls whatsoever. And I know that the pub which had the Swindon away fans in there were very fulsome in their praise for the town fans on Saturday. So it was a great afternoon all round. I mean, I felt sorry for you, Rob, because you and Andrew Hawes were pretty lonely up there in that press box. We could spot you. There were you and about 3 other people, I think. So, is it one of those afternoons when you think, oh, I wish I'd been the other side?
I tell you what, it definitely was. And there was a definite tumbleweed moment when you went down to the press room at half time. I can tell you there's nobody there, but it was, it is very odd, because obviously when you're on the opposite side of the pitch to where everyone else is having the best time in the world, you still got to concentrate on what you're doing. And I'm just thinking back on what Anna's just said about Oldacre. It was him that changed the game, and it was absolutely spot on, and he got my man of the match nominated on the radio, primarily because I haven't seen a goal of that quality for a long time. The shot most players can do, the Cruyff turn that sends 3 people onto their backside, I'm not sure many can. And absolutely right, there are times, and I've been in that way too, the game's drifted past him, he's not been involved, and you think, what's he actually achieving when he's out there? But when he's on his game, and it does tend to be away from home, he gets more space and time on the ball away from home, he can cause real problems for opposition defences. He set up the goals at Barrow, I remember, in the first half. He was instrumental in that game. And that shot was a goal worthy of winning any game. And I think Gus will probably testify. The octaves in my voice went up 2 or 3 levels when that one fired its way into the bottom corner, because it was, although I would have loved to have been over there with you, it was an absolute pleasure to commentate on it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those great moments, wasn't it? And if I'm honest, I was a little jealous as well, because it was a great moment, wasn't it? And I don't know, Gus, I've got whilst you're here, I've got this. Not that you're going to disappear in a moment, but anyway, I just thought there are 2 questions for you. This is from James. What part of the States is Gus in? I'm from Swindon and live in Florida, but you're not in Florida, are you?
I'm in Virginia, so we're probably 12-hour, 15-hour drive north of Florida, depending on where you are in Florida. It's a big state, of course.
Oh, that's just M5 roadworks, that is. That's not a problem.
I shouldn't do it in hours. I guess that's...
That's quite a long way, isn't it? And then Claire says, is Gus going to come over for a game this season?
So my wife and I, what got us interested in Swindon to begin with was 2 years ago around New Year's, we came over and just had a wonderful time in your country. Just loved everything about it. Traveled around a little bit outside of London. And I think we are going to come around New Year's again. There's a game, I think, on New Year's Day.
Harrogate's a nice place.
Mm-hmm. We're going to come. And then on the next day, 2 days later, I think the women play, and we want to see that as well. So we don't have absolute plans, but I think we are going to come, and we're really looking forward to it.
Well, you might get taken out for a meal while you're here. So
with our sons as well. Our sons.
Oh, right. Well, oh gosh. Well, don't bring too many. It's too expensive.
This is more Britain.
And if I can also say, I've been on this show, I think for 10 months. I think I've been on half a dozen times with Rob, and I was today years old when I realized that you're one of the announcers, Rob. I had no idea. I did not. To show how
You just
clueless I am.
recognise the voice, Gus. Every now and again, just recognise the voice.
I should have. I didn't know. And when I couldn't watch. I could only listen this time, and you did a great job. I mean, I'm
Thank
pretty
you.
clueless.
To be fair, it is the first time this season, so you haven't missed much this season.
Is that right? Okay. Well, it was really good. Really good.
Yeah, he normally, I think he uses his transatlantic DJ voice, Gus, to put the platters the banner on and steals the wheels and all that kind of stuff. No, it'd be great to see you. And of course, we'll look after you royally should you come over, although not that royally because we're pretty poor. It'd be good to see you. Phil, it was your man of the match. I mean, it was a difficult choice, wasn't it? I mean, you could have. They all really worked hard. I mean, Clark to me was actually, I can't remember a better game from him. He was just everywhere, wasn't he? And just did everything. So that's the reason I gave it to him, really.
I think Anna said, could have picked almost anybody to be man of the match. That was the quality of the performance. And it's a long time since it's been more than 2 or 3 up for selection for man of match. As we discussed tonight, we've already said a range of different players who we could have nominated. As I said earlier, I went for Palmer just because of the way he led the line, especially in the second half. He was creating mayhem up there, and it's been pointed out there. One point I was going to mention about Odegaard, he mentioned in an interview that he likes taking free kicks, but he felt that Wright wouldn't let go of the free kicks. I think they need to start, mixing that around a bit because Wright, he gets 1 in 6 on target, 1 in 7 on target. Try somebody else.
Yeah, there was one on Saturday which was pretty disastrous, if I remember rightly, from long range, which went over the top of the bar and possibly hit the building behind where they made the fire hydrants for New York. Hence the reason it's called the New York Stadium, which we're all a bit baffled by when they built it. And we thought, well, why have they called it that? It's a bit flash, isn't it? But that's the reason, if you were wanting to know. It was the Foundry that did it. So there we are.
What a wonderful stadium it is, by the way.
It is absolutely fabulous. Yeah, it's a wonderful ground, and they've done a good job there. Because Millmore, you can still see, can't you? And they still play in it. Do some teams? The Sheffield women's team play in it, as do the Doncaster Bells. Interesting enough. Right. What about the fans on Saturday, Anna? I mean, that's the sort of atmosphere you want. You're not going to get that every week, but it's a joy to be a part of, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I wanted to just to say before Connor disappeared that read the boos at the Colchester home game. It was a minority. It's a vocal minority. I'm not one of those people, by the way. I don't consider myself a happy clapper, but neither do I think it's of value to any football club to have your home to be booed off unless something catastrophic happens, like going down 7-0 to some non-league side at some point. But what is, I've said this before, what is the point of booing your team? On Saturday, actually, at half-time, there were a couple of boos behind me. I think they were for the referee, but I can't remember what he did first half. But second half, part of the reason that the fans got behind the team was because they could see the effort and the shift they were putting in. Now, to me, although there's a real lack of quality in that Colchester game, they worked their asses off still, and that's what Holloway said in his post-match interview. If my players aren't trying, boo them. If they're trying and they're putting that work in, support them, and they need it. And I think we helped as fans on Saturday. I think we helped get them over the line. Because that's what you do as football supporters. You try and support and get behind your team, and we were vocal. But by the way, I heard, and I don't think anyone else has perhaps mentioned this, but I heard that Rotherham fans boycotted Saturday for some reason.
Oh,
so that's why there were only 3,500 in the ground. Their previous home crowds, I think, had been around the 8.5 mark, if I'm right. Certainly not as low as 3.5, and it was. I personally don't like those new stadiums, those bowls. I think they're spiritless. And if you look at most, I don't know whether the cameras were, but if from where we were facing, it was an empty ground. It was like the Virtue Motors Trophy game at the county ground, where you got 2 stands are not even open, and that probably made a difference as well, and allowed us get behind the sign. But yeah, I thought we were great, and you know, just the scenes at the end. I didn't see Ollie Palmer dancing, by the way, but I saw Phil Mabete not even go round the pitch. He cut straight across the penalty area, and I know Holloway wasn't very happy with that. But you know, come on, if you're scoring a winner with 10 men, with 3 or 4 minutes to play in extra time, you know, by all means sprint across the pitch and get a yellow card, because that was brilliant. And,
yeah, that's just
deserved.
pure passion, isn't it? And that's what you want to see, really. Even a player who didn't come on gets passionate and goes round. And yeah, it was fantastic. And just a reminder, by the way, this is from Darren, and it's reminded me to say so. Great cup draw against Bolton at home. A proper football club should be a decent crowd. So that is, we reckon the weekend of December the 6th, but it could be the Friday, Saturday afternoon, the Saturday evening. It could be the Thursday. It could be the Sunday lunchtime. It could be Sunday evening.
Or Monday.
Before the third round draw.
They're on tonight.
Yes, they are. So it could be any time. So don't make any plans for Thursday onwards on that weekend, I think it's fair to say. Still got a sore throat, says Tony. I actually have, but I think that's more to do with the seasonal cold than anything else. Paolo Di Canio, Northampton, Rob.
There it is, straight away. Do you know what? You just took the words straight out of my mouth as soon as you mentioned Phil Mabete running across the pitch. I was in the com box that day as well. When,
you were with me, if I remember
I was with you, absolutely, yes. We had an absolute whale of a time after Alan McCormack got sent off. After Alan McCormack scored that goal, after we had the sending off early in the game. And I think we lost our heads a bit, Vic, when we saw him dancing down the touchline, didn't we? Because we didn't have a clue what on earth he was doing. But jumping into the fans just showed the passion of the man. And that's why I think, and I totally get Ian Holloway's comments. Of course I do, that he doesn't want his players to get booked unnecessarily, does he? Because why would you? But the FA Cup is about moments, isn't it? And that's why I put Oldacre as my man of the match on Saturday. And Mabete running across the pitch to celebrate with the rest of the players and the supporters just goes to show the togetherness that's there. Man hadn't got on the pitch. He could very easily have just been sulking in the dugout because he never got a minute's football when a lot of others did. Yet you see him tearing across the pitch to jump in with the celebrations. That says an awful lot about how much of a team player that man is. And he is growing as well. When he gets on that pitch, he is growing as a footballer. Yeah. He is going to be a real talent, I think. So I would definitely excuse him that behaviour, because it was a fantastic moment to see as you were commentating on that side of the pitch as he was disappearing. And just in front of us, we've got Ollie Palmer. Darren Oldacre can cure cramp.
Well, I've never known
anything like it.
Obviously, Connor Ripley sort of didn't really notice, but when he went off, Ollie Palmer,
he couldn't walk.
And the bench were taking the mickey out of him. They were sort of, this is how you walk. And then of course we score, and then he's doing it himself. He
was doing a jig the like of which I've never seen before, to be honest.
He probably had some gels,
yeah, probably energy gel. Yeah, I mean, it was a great moment because it showed that Ollie Palmer, who's had a tremendous amount of success in the last few years with Wrexham, got excited about that moment on Saturday, and that says a lot, I think, about him as a player who's committed to this football team. Rob, don't you think?
Oh, totally. And I think this is where we cannot praise Ian Holloway enough, I don't think, in terms of the way that he has brought the club back together. Because it felt like under Mark Kennedy, that club again was just about as fragmented as you could possibly wish to be. Supporters weren't on the same page. Players weren't on the same page. We know the problems that we've had off the pitch too. It just felt like we were a team, again, going in the wrong direction. And so not only has he had to put a winning team back on the pitch, but he's had to build a whole club back together again. And I think that on Saturday demonstrated how far we've come in achieving that. Not only have we got a squad of players that on the pitch are good enough to beat a side from a league above, we've also got a team of players on the pitch that are together. And when, as Anna said earlier on, when we get behind that club, when we support them properly and we're very vocal, our supporters are second to none as well. And it is a question of just getting behind everything together, And the one person, who's been the catalyst for all of that to happen is our manager. and we need to get behind him and we need to support that club.
I'm Martin. Nice to see you on the bus on Saturday. Most Football League clubs had crowds 50% down on their league crowds. Interest not there in the early rounds of the FA Cup from a lot of people, sadly. Adrian says, anyone want to buy a brand new bucket and spade? A trip to Weston is now off the cards. There we go. We ain't going to Weston. Hi, Darren. I don't think people should dwell on Boogate. I didn't hear any booing. I was in the DR stand happily on Saturday. I could hear the town fans on the radio. Sounded brilliant. As for Northampton away, I was there. It was on New Year's afternoon. Di Canio slide was epic. It was a great moment. If you were on your way on that day, let us know, because it was a great moment. I mean, where's he going? That was extraordinary.
That was the word.
What's he doing? So just to explain, Gus, I don't know if you know of Paolo Di Canio. Do you know of them? Right. He was an Italian footballer. Great career with Celtic and West Ham and Sheffield Wednesday. Got banned for 9 games for pushing the referee over once for a Sheffield Wednesday game. Wasn't too clever. But he became Swindon Town manager for a brief spell. Bought every player under the universe, basically. We got promotion from League Two, won the championship at Akanta. We're top of the league the day after he left in League One. And then it all started to go pear-shaped when he resigned and everything. So that's a little bit of background against Paolo Di Canio. Bonkers, but he was our bonkers, if you see what I mean. It was great. So are you learning more about this club that you now support?
I am. And, I can tell that people are really excited about the win this weekend. We're obviously doing really, really well in the chart anyway, or the chart. But it almost feels like this could be a pivotal moment in the season. We can beat anybody. Early in the preseason, before games even started, I remember listening to Coach Holloway, and he kept saying, I can't speak the way he does. I don't know what accent that is, but he never uses a T unless it's at the beginning of a word. He would say, we're going to rack them and stack them. We're going to get, as many players out because they're going to get injured and they're going to get, out on infractions and things. And that's what he did. And it's exactly, we didn't have Monroe, we didn't have Tafazoli, and it would have been better if we had, but it didn't end up mattering, because we have so many players. And I just wonder if we can beat Rotherham, we can beat anybody. I mean, not anybody, but we can play above our league weight. And I think the sky's the limit. There's no reason, I'm sure there'll be bad days. There are going to be some bad games, but we can always look back at this and say, we can do it.
Yeah. I think we give Wolves a game at the minute because they can't do anything, can they? The Premier League somehow. They've just sacked their manager as well. Another one gone. Hi, Justin. My boy got Ollie Palmer's shirt after the final whistle. What a day, and one very happy little boy. Fabulous. Hopefully the supporters start to come back now. Big crowd on Saturday against Tranmere. Tony says, I was there at Northampton. Great day. Good memories. Yeah, Phil, now Saturday. All right, we've been talking about Rotherham. We've got Bolton Wanderers at home in the FA Cup, but it is back to what we call the bread and butter and the serious business of winning league points. And okay, there's a lot of euphoria after Saturday, but now it's back to that important, as we were saying with Connor Ripley earlier, it's back to the important stuff.
I think Gus made a good point when he said it may be pivotal. I think Holloway now can say, look what you can do. We got to keep doing that in every game. And, he's got something to whip them with now and say, right, don't just save it for the Rotherhams. We got to do it against Tranmere, who are middle-ish this year, aren't they? They're not doing that great, but we've got to beat teams like Tranmere at home. Good performance to get the fans really believing, and they will turn out. And I want to see us get to 10,000 by Christmas in that ground, because that is when you get the real atmosphere there, Gus, is when you get 10,000+ in the county ground. Mm. And if Gillingham bring a fair few on New Year's Day when you're there, and Swindon still doing well, you may have a very, very big crowd to watch that day. But it is, that discipline. Will Monroe be fit? That's a good question. I was interested that none of the other players were cup tied for Saturday. We don't know whether Munro would have been, but he is a key player when he comes in. Tavazzoli, will he be fit to come back in? Will he get back in? Holloway is going to complain again that he's got lots of decisions to make. And I'm sure he uses his bingo machine sometimes to pick out the numbers. But, when you think in previous seasons, we've had barely 11 first teamers. The bench has been very weak. Now we've got a strong bench. None of the youth team are getting a look in. And, it's a great position for our club to be in. So I'm going for 3 points on Saturday. My daughter's coming up from Southampton especially for it. So they're going to put on a good show for her, I'm sure.
Well, Tranmere are 17th currently in League Two. They have 16 points from their 14 games played. And their last few games, a draw, a loss, a win, a draw, Anna. Not in great form, but that doesn't always give you the full picture, does it?
Yeah, I think that's right. I think they started off even more poorly, didn't they? They had a very poor run of games right at the very beginning, and then picked up slightly, and then they've been a bit meh since then. They're not going to be an easy side to meet, and probably play a little bit less football than the couple of sides we played most recently. And that sort of side doesn't really suit us. The ones that go a bit longer, try and get in behind. So it's not going to be an easy game. And as Phil said, the whole momentum that we take from Saturday at Rotherham has got to be carried forward into the league. It's a very flimsy thing, this being at the top of the league. I'm personally quite happy we're not actually top. I think you're just there to be shot down. Let's leave it till after Christmas and then run away with the title. I'd like that. But we can dream, can't we? But the thing Rob was mentioning earlier about Holloway and what he's done since he's come into the club, and just to kind of temper this all with a bit of a note of caution, it is absolutely down to Holloway what's happened to this club right now. He's not just he's dragging it up by the bootstraps. He's giving people confidence. He's making those players believe in themselves, and not just as individuals but as a collective. That's absolutely fantastic. The one thing that is not happening for me at the club, and if you look at us, even Rotherham, right, being a League One club, we've hardly met them in the last 10 years, have we? Why is that? Why is it that Rotherham, Brentford, I've got to say Oxford, Bournemouth, those sides, Reading even, those sides that we were once, neck and neck and shoulders above in quite a few years, for a decade or so. Why is it that those clubs have managed to stay above us, significantly above us as a club, for so long? That's the Holloway effect. Fantastic, but we need to build for a future, and that is not just about one man. So I think we need to give that some. I'd like to think the powers that be behind the club will give that some careful consideration, because Holloway's not going to be around forever. It's a flimsy life, isn't it, a football club? But why is it? We want to be a well-run club that sustains success, not just has like the season we had with Welland, to get promoted, next season you're down again. That's not what it's about. It's about building for a sustainable future. So I don't want to put the dampener on things, but that is the reality. So while I'm much enjoying the last Saturday and hoping we can take it forward, you have to temper it all with a bit of a note of caution, I think.
Yeah, I think you make a very fair point, because we don't sustain a place in League One. And, traditionally we were a third division team, or League One as it is now. But of course, the last few years, we've been traditionally a League Two club or fourth division club, as it used to be. So I think we all want, if we can, to get out of the league this season and stay for at least a couple of seasons in League One and build from there. That would be, and I know that's what Holloway wants. So let's see if we can get out of this league first, which is the most and the biggest priority. Hi, Adrian. Remember Don Valley? Certainly do. We beat Rotherham with Di Canio in the stands. Coldest I've ever been in my life, alone at football. Super Matty Ritchie. Just to explain that Rotherham played at Don Valley for a season or two. We went up there in the year that we won the championship and won by 2-1 with Matt Ritchie getting both the goals. Remember that one, Rob?
I do. I enjoyed commentating on that one as well.
There you go. You get Rotherham every time. Yeah.
2 goals in a minute. Yeah, I've had the pleasure of commentating on beating Rotherham in 3 different grounds in Yorkshire. That's quite impressive, isn't it? But
Yeah.
there we go. Matt Ritchie scored twice in a minute, and to be honest, we didn't do very much apart from that in that game. Alex Ravel scored for Rotherham about quarter of an hour into the second half and made it quite a dicey last half an hour, to be honest, when we were quite the strongest side. But one of my funniest memories actually is the fact that the fact that Di Canio had been suspended from the touchline meant that he actually sat about 3 rows behind us. And I'm still not sure now my eardrums have recovered from that. And that's going back a good 10 or 15 years ago now, isn't it? He never shut up. And I was just pleased he was far enough back that he didn't, like he used to smash against the plexiglass in the county ground. I'm pleased he never actually did it in the dugout that was directly in front of him. So we were all right.
Yeah, well, we used to take bets where we sat, where at what minute he would hit the plexiglass of the dugout.
Yeah.
And it was around about the 21st minute, I seem to remember, when he got really frustrated. The Don Valley Stadium, guys, is an athletic stadium. Well, is it still there? I'm not even sure it's still there anymore.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's still there.
It is still there. It's an athletic stadium. So for a while, Rotherham played there. So it was a very bizarre place to go. And if I'm right in saying, I think Jessica Ennis used to train there, our Olympic heptathlete. So a very strange place to play football, a bit like the old hockey stadium at Milton Keynes, which was I thought was really nice. You know, nice to go to these quirky little grounds. So there we are. We used to play at different grounds to when we played Rotherham. Millmore, the old ground, is still used across the road from Rotherham's new stadium. So there we are. Shout out to Life of Kitman vlogs. Great watch. Even neutral fans are raving about them. Well done, Jonah and Steve. There's even a Tranmere fan who wants to meet them on Saturday. There you go. Mark says we'll be top of the league at the end of the season. My bet is coming in. How do you gauge this then, Gus? There's no promotional relegation in American sport, is there? It's all a bit of a closed shop, which is a shame in a way. Is this a new concept then, this old promotion relegation thing?
It's a new concept. It was to me when I started watching Last Christmas, and I've mentioned it to a bunch of people here in the U.S. You know, I've told them that they should watch Swindon too, and I explained promotion relegation, and they all think it's a great idea because you know in most of our sports you get down to the end of the season and they're the teams that are in the bottom third or whatever have no chance to make it to the playoffs. You're still playing those games, and no one cares. You know, they're the most meaningless games. People just going through the motions, thinking about where they're going to be next season. You know, there's a real urgency, I imagine, at the bottom. You know, at the end of the season to not be
desperation.
Exactly. I think relegation is a great thing. It's it's kind of the free market. You need to fight. So I think I love it.
Because there is talk that
relegation is not a great thing. Right?
No, it's a
promotion's a great thing. Promotion's a great thing.
Promotion's brilliant. Then not quickly followed by relegation. I think that's fair enough. But there is talk, of course, that the more American owners become involved in Premier League clubs, they could vote to make that a closed shop. I mean, what would your view be about that?
So I was surprised when I heard that the upper leagues do the same thing because there is just so much money involved. You know, it matters so much. You know, it's just people, I don't know, tens of millions of dollars or more or whatever, and they're not going to want that, right? They don't want. That's why we don't have relegation and promotion, is because owners, with rare exceptions like the Green Bay Packers, individuals own teams. They don't want their team to be worth less money. They want to get the TV revenue, that kind of thing. So it's about money here. And I think it's more pure and better where you are. Obviously money's involved. Obviously, you can buy wins to some extent, but here it's all about money.
So does that affect baseball crowds, do you think? Because sometimes you go to a baseball stadium, there's hardly anybody there. I mean, some clubs are well supported, the Yankees, the Cubs, they've all got huge crowds every time. But I mean, a lot of baseball stadiums, they're pretty much empty for a lot of the games.
Absolutely. And I don't even know how much the ticket sales matter to these teams, because they all have TV deals that they get a cut no matter what, no matter how bad they are, they get, $50 million a year or $30 million a year or something. And so they don't, to some extent, I don't know how much they care if people show up. which is pretty sad. You know, there are definitely markets that don't have great fan support. Chicago Cubs are big fan support, New York, Boston, you know, but there are others where I don't think fans really care very much.
Yeah, great shame that, Phil, isn't it? I mean, I know in rugby there was talk in the Rugby Premier League that they were going to stop promotion and relegation, and that's. I mean, I've always thought that even if you play for a village team in the whatever league you're in, the dream is that one day that club possibly could get to the Premier League. That's the dream, isn't it?
Yeah, and we've seen it in this country where teams have worked their way up from the very depths. You know, Sutton to get up into the league was quite amazing. Bromley to get up into the league. You know, and it adds to the grassroots, the pyramid, the strength of it. And that's why English football, I think, is so strong, is because of its pyramid system. And I did read in the Times that in the States, there's talk of setting up a rival football league now with promotion and relegation, which I think is quite an interesting thing. They were arguing that it's what's missing from American soccer, as you call it, is this jeopardy. And, you know, it's the essence of our football, isn't it? And, you know, the ideal league is where every game almost during the season counts for each team. You're either going for relegation, promotion, or whatever. And it's why we've got playoffs now going down to, seventh in the league. And they're talking of extending it by one in the championship now, aren't they, as well, to increase the amount of jeopardy, to increase the chances. And I can't understand why America, you've said about the money that's tied up, but in terms of being a spectator sport, it's much, much better to have this excitement, desperation, you know, all the different feelings is what sport is at its best of.
Yeah, because to be honest, Gus, we have had before the playoffs were introduced, there were a lot of meaningless games at the end of the season as well, because, you know, you'd have your bottom three sort of pretty much sorted out and your top 3 or 4 sorted out. So there are a lot of clubs in the middle who really had little to play for. So we have had that in the past. But now, of course, you're either kind of wanting to get in the playoffs or automatic promotion or beat the dreaded drop. So there's always something to play for till February, March. You know exactly what you've got to do. So that's good stuff. Right. Mark says, going back to what you're saying, Anna, the club has been poorly run. But Tony says, you think in a year we were bottom of League 2, could have gone out of the league when Ollie arriving joint top, looking good for the future. Some credit to Clem and Ollie. So I'm just putting the other side of the coin from those comments too. What do you think about the promotion and relegation, Anna? I mean, it's the lifeblood of the football that we have here, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. I mean, we were first in, weren't we, in the playoffs? The first year it happened.
Yeah.
And we'd have been. I think weren't we ahead of Gillingham by like 11 points or something? I can't remember the detail, but I remember thinking then how unfair it was to have to go into the playoffs when we should have been automatically promoted. And yet now, as you expressed it, when you had those so many meaningless fixtures for those sides in the middle of the table. It does make it run right until the wire, and quite often, even on that last day of the season, you've got 5 or 6 more teams that could creep into the playoffs, and that adds that excitement and jeopardy. So I wouldn't knock it now, but having said that, we've had some great experiences as a club in the playoffs. I got Michael Timlin's shirt from the Valley in 2010, even though he didn't play. And I have to say, it smelt of him for a long time, and that wasn't that unpleasant, although it might sound like it was. But then we've got the other side of the coin and losing on penalties at Port Vale. So it really is kind of, depths of despair, or the heights of ecstasy, really, when you win those playoff games. And you couldn't change it back now. But to think of those top tier, say becoming a closed shop, I just think could kill the rest of the pyramid. Really, I think you've got to maintain that jeopardy right through, all the way through the grassroots, much as I hate the thought of, you know, our club going out of the Football League, that is part of it. So you have to, you know, we're steeped in that tradition, and that's the highs and lows of the game. So, you know, long may that still continue.
It's interesting in rugby union, Vic, that when they've not had relegation for 2 or 3 years now.
That's right.
During that time, 2 clubs have gone out of existence.
Yeah. So that's what it's done to them. Just to explain Charlton, Gus, we played Charlton in the semi-finals of the playoffs some years ago. It won 2-1 at the County Ground, if I remember rightly, and then went to the Valley, which was Charlton's ground, had a player sent off. It went to penalties, and we got through to Wembley via a penalty shootout. The winning penalty was scored by a player called Stephen Darby, who's been living with motor neurone disease in recent years. Of course, we send him all the very best. But it was a wonderful, wonderful night, Rob, wasn't it? I mean, my goodness me, those are the nights you live for, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, your very, very brief description doesn't really tell the story, does
No.
it? Because we had David Lucas, the goalkeeper, injured after the best part of 5 minutes.
Yeah.
We had to bring in Phil Smith as the sub-goalkeeper. We were down to 10 men at 2-0 down and 3-2 down on aggregate. So you pretty much had written off our chances. Scored a wonder goal to get ourselves back level in the tie. Then had to survive 30 minutes of pretty much incessant Charlton pressure in the extra time, where we barely got out of our own half, it felt like. Got ourselves to penalties. And our track record, Gus, on penalties is historically woeful. So as much as we wanted to get to penalties, nobody really thought we were actually going to get through. And for once, it actually happened. We actually did win a penalty shootout. So it was a very, very long night from what I recall, and we didn't probably get down back from it in time for the final, did we? Because we didn't turn up in the final, which didn't help much.
No, got beat by Millwall. Yeah, I mean, I was lucky enough to be doing the commentary that night with the late great Alan McLaughlin, of course, who sadly left us. So it was a very memorable night for a lot of reasons. But you see, these are the memories, Gus, and I'm sure, you know, in your sporting history, you've got a lot of memories. But what's the best thing about all this for you?
I said last year when we were kind of getting toward the end of the season and we weren't playing super, super well, you know, we're hoping to get into the playoffs, and we kind of became evident we weren't going to, maybe with 2 or 3 games left. And I just said at that time, I just want to have fun. I want to have good experience. I want to watch the team play well. You know, they're going to lose. You know, there's going to be frustrations. Every single sport in the world has that. But I want our guys to play well, you know, to be happy with their effort, for us to be happy with them, for it to be an enjoyable experience. And it sure has been. I mean, we're playing really well now. It would be more fun, obviously, if we get promoted, and, you know, but then we'll be at the bottom of that league probably and have to be scrapping to stay. And, you know, that's just the way it'll always be. If I can just say one other thing too, I did watch I just wanted to mention something totally unrelated. I did watch the highlights, and when Drinan got sent off with the red card for punching taking a swing at the guy, in American sports, almost all the sports have a rule against taunting. You're not allowed to say things that incite other players, or in action, or in you're not allowed to like pretend like you draw a gun on them or something like that. And the other guy was standing over him. Yeah, and in my mind, appeared to be taunting. Obviously, that's not a rule here, so you know there's no. But I agree with the taunting rules in the American sports because it's bad sportsmanship. And in American professional football, you would get an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty, a 15-yard penalty, and if you get 2, you get ejected. So if you do that 2 times, you're out of the game. I know this is your sport, and what we do is completely different. But when I saw it, I thought, in the U.S., that guy, they would have thrown a yellow flag, and he would have gotten a 15-yard penalty for what he did.
I got to be honest. I mean, the thing is, retaliation always gets punished more than the actual offence. Yep. So, in a way, the player has to be aware of that. But you're absolutely right. I mean, many's the occasion when a nasty foul has been committed, and then the player reacts, and you think, well, we've all played sport at some point, and if you get kicked, you react. You can't help it. So, it's one of those things where. The punishment for the retaliation far outstrips the punishment for the original offence. Whereas, I'm guessing what you're saying is, in America, it's the other way around.
Yeah, and I'm not even saying, if somebody makes a hard tackle and gets, and commits a penalty, that's fine. That happens in the game. It's that when he then gets up to the injured opponent, stands over and points his finger at him and says, that's what they call penalties for in the U.S. The infraction, of course, but the taunting is another complete separate element. In American football, if you're carrying the ball and you look back and you wave at your opponent if you're about to score a touchdown, they'll bring the ball back. The touchdown will not count. And people do it. It's so stupid, but there's those kinds of things happen. You have your game, and it's played in the way you play it. I just make observations based on what I see here in the US too. So
listening to Gus pick, I've just suddenly thought Harry Smith, 5'4", Bradford,
standing over the guy who got the own goal. Yep, he would have been off the field so fast in American sports for that.
Yeah. And I've also just thought, would Harry McCurdy ever stay on the pitch for more than 10 minutes?
No, I think the turning around and waving at somebody, that sounds rather fun, actually. I think I would if I was clear to get a touchdown, quite frankly. But there we are. In the very, very unlikely event that might happen. Chris says he was also standing on his foot. So there was a lot going on over there. So you had a better view of it than we did, Rob, to be honest, didn't you? Because
I did. There's no doubt at all that he was provoked into that action, but there's no excuse for throwing your arm at an opposition player. So he can have no excuses for that. But there were mitigating factors as to why he did it. Let's put it that way.
Right. Let's have a look at this, Phil. Danny Butterworth got injured a couple of weeks ago, of course, at Accrington, if memory serves. He's out for 4 months. Big miss.
Yes. I think probably we remember him more as a sub coming on and injecting some pace into a game when we're lacking pace. And he's capable of scoring some wonder goals as well. I don't think he scored bad goals. He just scores spectacular goals, the odd ones that he's done. But in a squad like we've got, he does have that little bit different approach to play that is sometimes has been helpful in this season. And we could have done it with him again later this season, I hope.
Yeah, he's a great little player, isn't he, Anna? When he comes on, I mean, we all remember that goal at Accrington he got. And I think at the end of season awards, Marcus Bignot was amazed that he didn't win goal of the season because it was a fabulous goal, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I agree with Phil. I mean, Butterworth is one of those players who unfortunately has been better off the bench. And there are those players. He's coming into a different stage of the game, isn't he? He's coming into the game where he's probably being told, occupy the defence. And he's one player that can do that. And we definitely need somebody at those turn of games that, if we're under a bit of pressure, can actually turn it back. And I think we'll miss him. But having said that, that's the point of Holloway's ethos it is a squad game. We've got to make up for those players that are missing. We can't, lament them too long. We might miss them. We missed Munro on Saturday. It was a shame he wasn't starting. But at the end of the day, we said, there were so many players that could have been man of the match. So we have to cover for that. Bowden, maybe Billy Bowden can start stepping up and coming on and playing that kind of role. I know not the same sort of player, but we still need to be able to look at that bench and think, okay, he can come on and change the game. So who is that now? If it's not Oldacre, is it Bowden? Is it Hibachiman? Can he put in a good shift on Saturday? Can he start where Butterworth has left off? And he's one of those players that will run. He pretty much exclusively when Hibachiman comes on and gets the ball, he runs forward, doesn't he? That's what he does. He tries, even if he fails, he tries to run at the defence. And if nothing else, for nuisance value, that's great. Occupy that defence. It gives them more to think about before they start breaking forward. So we'll miss him. But we've got to move on.
Yeah, he's a good little player, Rob, isn't he? I mean, he's the sort of player that gets people excited, I think it's fair to say.
No, it's fantastic. And I think Gus has said early in the season, I remember his comment very well, it could be a breakout.
Well, I was going to come to him in a minute because of this very comment. So, yeah.
And it was, I mean, he's absolutely right, because the ability that man possesses is different to every other player in our squad, I think, because he's got that little pace, that turn of that, the little jinking feet, low center of gravity. There's several big old units in our team this season, but there aren't really that many clever technical players in and around the penalty area, and that's what Butterworth can give you. And when you don't have him, you realise his importance, and I think that's the measure of any player who's out injured or suspended at any one time. Do you miss him when he's not there? And we have a big hole that's not filled at the moment with Danny Butterworth being out. And Anna's right; other players now need to step up and fill that hole. We've got several injuries, let's be fair. Monroe's been mentioned, Tafazoli's been mentioned. We know we've got season-ending injuries for Harry Smith and for Harrison Minturn. So it's not like we're a fully fit squad. We're not. We've got players who are missing, but so far we're joint top of the league. We've covered for them particularly successfully. We've got to now move that forward for the rest of the season and make sure that we continue to do that. And unfortunately, we'll miss Danny Butterworth for the crucial winter months of the season. But if we're still in that promotion shake-up in 4 months' time, what a fillip to suddenly have a player of that ability back in your squad again. So let's hope the injury isn't as serious as they're saying it might be. Sometimes players recover quicker, don't they? And let's hope Danny Butterworth is one of those. But I think that's the way to look at it now. We'll effectively have a transfer window player coming back to us maybe in February, which would be absolutely ideal, wouldn't it? Somebody in your squad that you haven't had for such a long time and suddenly returns.
Yeah, I think the phrase you used, Gus, was Butterworth was going to be a breakout player this season. And I think he excites you when he comes on. You think, oh, something's going to happen. Is that the way you look at him?
It is. Let me step back for just 1 second. I'm really glad we're saying the names of the players who have been injured and aren't with us right now, because they're still just as important to the team. They're a part of our team. The contributions that they've already made in this season are part of the reason that we're where we are. So, we haven't forgotten about them, and we look forward to all of them coming back. I had mentioned last year, the last show of the season that I was on, that I thought Danny Butterworth had a big chance to have a breakout season. We haven't seen that yet this year, unfortunately. But I feel like he and Prince Will Etchebechaman are a little bit the same. They just have a nose for the goal. I mean, they just want to get the ball and run to the goal. And as Anna said, maybe it's for a nuisance factor sometimes, that's a very hard thing to do, but every once in a while you get past the defenders and you do it. They're both exciting players. Danny Butterworth has tons of potential. Prince Will almost scored twice this week. He was in there. They're exciting. You need all kinds of players. You need people with all kinds of different skills, where we say, that Oldacre maybe isn't super fast, but has, really great ball skills in a crowd. I don't know how the ball skills in a crowd of Butterworth or Prince Will are, but they sure are fast. They can get the ball down the field and get a pass and, make things happen. So they're very important to us.
Okay, and before we carry on, I should mention that the Swindon women won yesterday. They continue to beat everybody. Swindon Town women won 5-0 against Worthing. Goal for Lacey Liggett, Libby Davis. There was an own goal. Annie Colston, of course, scored a goal, and Elise Clayton. So they were 3-0 up at half-time, but won 5-0. So continuing success to the Swindon Town women. Right, let's go around the panel then. Phil, Saturday, Tranmere Rovers, what do you think?
Question is going to be who replaces Drinnan, because that I think is the key. We've got to keep the flowing going forward. At the moment, there's always hope of a goal when he's anywhere near the ball, and it will be interesting who we go there. We should beat Tranmere, even without Drinnan, but I do believe it's key who replaces him and how we replace him.
Anna?
Yeah, I'd agree with Phil. I mean, I'd give Oldacre a shout, and I'd push Glatzel a little bit further forward. I mean, Glatzel could have had 4 or 5 goals, couldn't he, in the West Ham the 21 game? So
Yeah,
give
he was
him a bit
superb
more
in that
forward
one,
role.
wasn't he?
He was,
Yeah.
you know, he's going to run his socks off.
Mm.
He's perhaps another player that has been better off the bench, but you know, overall, let's get behind the team on Saturday. Misplaced pass in the first 10 minutes, don't do. You know,
No.
Get behind the tide, and that'll really help us and continue that relationship we're trying to build with those players. So we need to win. It's not
Yeah.
a must-win game, but I want to win. We need to win.
And after Saturday, you're absolutely right. Get behind the team. I think that's fair enough, Rob, isn't it?
Absolutely right. Yeah, we'll all echo those sentiments without a shadow of a doubt. I think Saturday be tough, to be honest. I'm surprised at Tranmere. I thought the back end of last season, they were in the best form of pretty much anyone in the division, and I thought they would take that form into a decent start to this season as well. So I think potentially they might be in a bit of a false position, and I think they might get better. Let's hope they don't get better this weekend, and if they don't. And we had such a fantastic finish to the home game with Tranmere last season, didn't we? From 2 down to be able to get ourselves back into the game and win it in stoppage time as well, with them having 2 players sent off.
Yeah.
So it was one of those memorable games that helped to build us further and further away from the relegation zone at that crucial time of the season. So it is different this time round. Obviously, the pressure's more on us than it probably is on them, and we need to put a home performance in. It would be nice to get a comfortable victory on Saturday. And I think even with the absences that we'll have, and obviously we will miss the top scorer in the division for 3 games, of course we will, every team would. But we have got players in there who will be able to take his place. And now's the time for Ollie Palmer to show his real class, I think. And I think he will be crucial to us Saturday, and we will get over the line.
Adrian says, don't worry, don't they have Turnbull? Jordan Turnbull?
They do, and that's why I think Ollie Palmer might have a
Josh
good game.
Davison still, is that? Josh
Sorry,
Davison
Anne.
still?
Josh Davison still,
Davison,
yeah.
yes, indeed. These are former players of ours, Gus. Just so you know. Tranmere Saturday.
If we can take half the energy that we had in the second half and the overtime period against Rotherham into this game with our 11 shots on goal, I mean, there's no reason we shouldn't be able to win. Obviously, Drinan not being there, I didn't realize that carried over into this. But there's a saying in American football: next man up. Somebody gets hurt, who's the next guy in line? Get in there and do it. We've got plenty of guys that can score, so no reason we can't take them on if we can just keep our energy high.
Excellent. Well, we're looking forward to it greatly. Should be a cracking atmosphere. Don't forget on Saturday, if you are coming to the game, could you get there early? And it is our Remembrance Day game. It's the 11th of the 11th, of course. It's the actual Armistice Day, but we'll be doing that on Saturday. And if you are coming to the game and you are former service personnel or indeed serving, and you want to wear your medals, please feel free to do so. And you may even be walking around the pitch at half time, because we really want to honour your service. It's as simple as that, really. There you are, Chris. I think that's just about it. Bolton at home in the FA Cup. It seems like 3 hours ago since that happened. But, anyways, Bolton at home in the FA Cup. Thanks to Connor Ripley. We should mention the Fools Rush In have got a live show
live
at the
event.
Legends Round on Friday evening, haven't they? So
They have, yeah. So if
Yeah.
anybody wants to go there, tickets are free, donation on the door, but I think you do have to get your tickets first, but they are free, and then give a donation. There's a couple of charities they're working for, so it should be good.
yes, indeed.
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you very much. It's been a long one. But as we say, we thank you, Connor Ripley, for joining us, and hope this continues, that we get a player on most of the weeks. So we can't expect them every week, but a lot of the weeks we should be able to, so that's good. So Vic and I will be back next week. So we've got the Tranmere game to review, and look forward to the big game at Milton Keynes on Tuesday night.
Seats available on SAS Travel if you wish to go to. And I think we each have a section of the ground, don't we?
Yes, we do. Yeah, I'm going nearer the pitch this time.
I'm
looking forward to it.
It's my
Sorry,
husband's
Anna.
birthday. Shall I stick or twist? My husband's birthday on the 11th.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah. That's the decision only
Decisions.
you can make. You can make.
Brilliant. Thanks everybody for listening and watching. We will see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you later.